gratify its desires. So, I want to highlight really quickly verses 8 through 10 that came before this to give us a little bit more context as we get ready to open up the text. So in verses 8 through 10, Paul spends some time highlighting the love walk. He spends some time, and if you want to look at a time when Jesus did something similar that really highlighted and examined what love really looks like, you can see it in Matthew chapter 5, those last few verses, where he says, I know if you have been told that you ought to love your what? Neighbor, and hate your what?
Yes.
And hate your enemy, but I say what? What did he say?
Love your enemies.
Right, so how do you love your enemies? By praying for them, right? He's basically, you see, praying and being a blessing in some kind of way to their lives instead of showing them hate, right? But he also says what about going the extra mile? What does he say about that? And if so-and-so commands you or forces you to go 1 mile, he says to do what? Go two. Go another mile. If they take you to court for your what? For your cloak, your tunic, you know, if they want your coat, give them something else as well, right? He highlights what it looks like to actually be loving towards those that you would consider to not be loving. Paul does something similar, and the reason why I'm highlighting that is because when you look at the sermon, what we call the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 5 through chapter 7, the highlighting that's going on is on the love of neighbor. Everything talked about in there has to do with how we are among our neighbor, and Paul does something similar. He utilizes the second tablet. So tradition has it that when Moses came down with the 2 tablets, one tablet they looked at being the love of God or showing love towards God, and the second tablet had to do with neighbor, right? No murder, no adultery, no stealing, no all of these different things, no coveting, all of those things that he wraps up. And he does the same thing here. The New Testament authors, they spend significant time on this second tablet too, right? I talked about Jesus. But I believe that we can learn to love others as well, and it'll be evident in our lives, and it'll be favor of the one that we claim to be following. So Paul closes verse 10 with a statement that's packed. It has a lot of insight and purpose. He says that love is the fulfilling of the law. Love is the fulfilling or the fulfillment of the law. And I'll just read verse 10. It says, love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law. And so he's hinging everything that he's about to say on love. And then we have the transitional statement that he has there. Besides this, you know the time that the hour has come for you to wake from your sleep and all of these different things.